Tonight, calling for a ceasefire. Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler and Commissioner Joanne Hardesty asking for an immediate meeting with federal leadership as they call for the removal of federal forces from the city. It is 10 o'clock. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jeff Gianola. And tomorrow, Attorney General William Barr is set to testify before the House Judiciary Committee, where he's expected to justify sending federal officers to Portland. All this comes as groups including Don't Shoot Portland and Wall of Moms are suing federal agencies, calling the deployment of federal officers unlawful. Jacqueline Abad spoke with the attorneys involved in this latest lawsuit. She's live in downtown with more. Jacqueline?
Jeff, well, I want to show you what the protest looks like right now here in downtown Portland. There's several hundred people out here. They're all listening to speakers right now just outside the Justice Center. Now, one of these groups that have been out here, we saw marching just about an hour ago, is the Wall of Moms. Wall of Moms, along with Don't Shoot Portland, filed a lawsuit against federal agencies. The goal of that lawsuit is to restrict federal officers' use of ammunition and restrict the ammunitions that they can use.
This is an emergency situation, and people have not only are their constitutional rights being violated actively, but they're also in physical danger and in need of protection, both for their rights and their bodies.
This is the lawsuit filed on behalf of Don't Shoot Portland, Wall of Moms, and numerous individual protesters. The lawsuit claims President Trump has used the nationwide civil rights protests as, quote, an opportunity to use federal forces. The federal officers were deployed to protect federal property.
But as we've seen, as the facts have borne out, the federal agents have not stuck to federal property, and it really does not seem like they are doing anything aside from trying to quell Portlanders' protests in support of Black lives.
The lawsuit also claims there's been excessive force against peaceful protesters with use of tear gas and less lethal munitions like rubber bullets.
This tear gas fills entire city blocks in opaque clouds, and it is just beyond the pale of what is even arguably necessary to protect the federal courthouse that these officers are standing in.
The suit claims that acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf doesn't have the authority to deploy federal agents, and so they brought this lawsuit to our nation's capital.
The Trump administration has threatened to use these same techniques and tactics in other cities, in other liberal cities. And so taking the lawsuit out of Portland and into DC was a strategic move for that reason as well.
Now back here live, you can see that there's a fire where the elk statue used to be. We've seen people burn flags out here. Now back to that story about, groups like Wall of Moms as well as Don't Shoot Portland following that lawsuit. I also reached out to the Department of Homeland Security for comment regarding this lawsuit, but I'm still waiting to hear back. Again, things are peaceful right now. We've seen people banging on the fence closer to the federal courthouse. We've seen people jump the fence at some point. You can see now here just outside the Justice Center, people are taking a seat out here as we get ready to hear from another speaker at the Justice Center. Jeff, will continue to monitor the protests out here for the 60th night here in downtown Portland. We'll send it back to you in the studio.